So today we are going to talk about buying a home in today's real estate market. And if you have, I'm sure someone has told you recently, but 2013 is really a wonderful year to buy a house. One of the reasons for that is that in the Denver metro area, it is 56% less expensive to buy a home than it is to rent. And Trulia, which is a leading real estate research resource, says that that's about an average savings of over $1,000 a month. So it is much more financially responsible right now to own in the metro area than it is to rent. And just to give you an idea of what that means, in this area in Southeast Aurora, a typical 3-bedroom apartment rents for about $1,700 a month. That's a nice 3-bedroom apartment. About 1,500 to 1,700 square feet with a 1-car detached garage. And for a similar, just a small step up in payment, you can purchase something like this HUD home that we currently have on the market, listed at $365,000, over 4,700 square feet with a 2-car attached garage, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, in Talon's Reach, which is one of Aurora's premier neighborhoods, and in the Cherry Creek School District. So because interest rates are so low right now, you have a lot of purchasing power. And this chart shows you how that works. So in the 1980s, when interest rates were in the 10% range, you could purchase a $150,000 home, and you could pay about $1,500 a month for that house. Today, in 2013, you can purchase a $275,000 home and make the same mortgage payment. So you can actually buy a $125,000 more house than you could have with higher interest rates. So not only do you have more purchasing power, you can buy more home, but more of your payment goes towards your principal. You're paying less in interest too, so you're paying that home off faster. Some of the other reasons why 2013 is such a great time to purchase a home is that FHA guidelines, lending guidelines are changing this summer. So mortgage insurance is something that you will pay on an FHA mortgage. When you put down 20% or more on a property, you're essentially insuring your loan to the bank by that down payment. So you're giving them 20% or more, and in the event that you foreclose on that property, the bank can recoup some of that cost by keeping your down payment. To put down as little as you do with an FHA loan, which is typically 3.5%, you're paying monthly mortgage insurance, which helps the bank recoup some of that money if you do foreclose on the property. Historically, ever since FHA mortgages were introduced, that MI payment, or that monthly mortgage insurance payment, has fallen off after you've either paid a certain amount of your mortgage, or typically about 5 years into your loan. If you are not under contract with an FHA case number, which means that your lender has ordered the appraisal on your home, by June 3rd of this year, that MI will no longer fall off of your loan. It will stay with your loan for the 30 years that you have that FHA mortgage, and that is that's a historical change. Your MI payment is usually, it could be with our average purchase price in the metro area being about $250,000, that's $150 to $200 a month. And even if you pay off the bulk of your mortgage, you're still going to have to pay that for the rest of the 30 years of your loan. And another thing that's happening, because our market is really shifting and turning into a seller's market, home values are rising, and as that happens and the economy starts to stabilize, interest rates will rise. And the more the interest rates rise, the less purchasing power you have. There are many different kinds of buyers, and along with those many different kinds of buyers come many different types of home loans. We'll just touch a little bit on each of those. The first type is a VA loan, and that is a loan for an active duty, honorably discharged, or a reservist, somebody who's been in the military or is currently in the military. And that is a loan where they've served their country, so now we're giving them a loan where they can purchase with 0 down and no monthly mortgage insurance. They do pay a VA funding fee that gets financed into their loan. The most commonly used type of loan for a first-time home buyer is called an FHA mortgage, and that is a federally insured loan, and you can put down as little as 3.5% down. And like we just talked about, you do pay monthly mortgage insurance. There's also a conventional loan, and conventional means typically that you're putting at least 5% down to 20% plus down on that loan. Once you hit that 20% down mark, you no longer have to pay monthly mortgage insurance. And there are a lot less restrictions with a conventional loan. So FHA and VA have much more restrictions about what type of condition the property can be in, and things like that. So a conventional loan has much less restrictions. There's also some financing called a 203K loan, or you might hear it called renovation financing. And that's a type of loan where you can still put down a low down payment, 3.5%, and you can finance renovations or remodel costs into your loan. So let's say you're purchasing a HUD home and it's priced at $150,000, but it really needs a new kitchen. The kitchen is from 1970, it's really, really outdated, and the kitchen will cost $20,000. You can spend $170,000 and you've just now financed in your kitchen. The most important thing that I can tell you about using a 203K loan or financing with renovation financing, you want to work with a lender who knows that type of a loan product. It's a very tricky loan to do. It's a wonderful loan for you as a buyer, but it comes with a lot of red tape and hang-ups, so if you don't work with a lender who knows that, you can have a hard time. USDA is a wonderful, wonderful type of loan product that not many people know about. This is for rural properties, so it has to be in a county where a certain number of people live there. There are counties or cities like Franktown, Elizabeth, some places up in Brighton, some of the mountain towns where you can purchase with a USDA loan, and it's $0 down. It does have a little bit higher monthly mortgage insurance premium, but you're not putting down any money, so that's why they do that for you. And then one of the other things that you may see out there is seller incentivized financing, and this is when you're purchasing an REO, which stands for real estate owned, or a foreclosure type of a home, and the seller is incentivizing you to use their financing. And you will see this with Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, sometimes Chase, Wells Fargo, NationStar. There are a lot of different programs out there where you can actually finance your home through the seller that you're buying it from. These programs typically have a lower down payment, and sometimes they even have no appraisal. No appraisal is required. So that's a nice feature to those loans. Please stop me if you have any questions as we're going through this. Another great program that's out there is called the Good Neighbor Next Door program, and this is a HUD exclusive program. This is for firefighters, EMTs, police officers, and teachers. They must be owner-occupants, so they have to actually live in the property. Those properties are in specific revitalization areas, so they're going to be in places where HUD feels like they need to stimulate good, strong homeowners back into the market. And you have to fall in that category, so you have to be a service personnel of some kind, and you must work in the county where the home is located. So if you're a Denver firefighter, you can't buy a Good Neighbor Next Door program home in Castle Rock. You would have to work in Castle Rock. The amazing thing about these properties is that they're 50% off the list price of the house. So it's a lottery, and everybody makes an offer at least at full price, and all of those bids are sealed. And then the seller opens all of those bids or offers and looks at those together, and the winner of that property gets to just take 50% straight off the list price. So it's a huge incentive for service personnel that live in the county that they want to.
Not just HUD homes?
Just HUD homes, yep.
And HUD advertises just the ones that are Good Neighbor Next Door homes?
They do, and I'll show you. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. There are also down payment assistance programs out there that will allow you to purchase a home for as little as $1,000 down, and there's quite a few of them. CHAPA and CHAC are very similar. They work in different counties. So CHAC, if you're in Arapahoe County, you can't do CHAC. If you would have to do CHAPA. So it just depends on where you live for those two programs. You purchase the home for $1,000 down. CHAPA or CHAC, whoever you choose, they pay your down payment for you. And you have to take a home ownership class. You can do it online or you can do it in the classroom. Aurora Hope is a wonderful program if you want to purchase a home in Aurora. They're fabulous. Aurora Hope does not make you pay back the down payment assistance if you don't stay in the home for a certain amount of time. So that's a big difference. However, CHAPA and CHAC have much higher level income restrictions. So they're all going to have income restrictions of some kind, but CHAPA and CHAC will allow you to make more money. This program, Metro Mortgage Assistance Plus program, was just announced last week. It's brand new. The only 2 counties that are participating in that program now are Denver and Littleton. So if you want to purchase a property in Denver or Littleton, you can use this. It's a 4% grant. You don't have to pay that money back. They have even higher, you can make more money and still participate in that program than even with Chapel or CHAC. And they are expecting that more of the major cities in the metro area will join that program as it goes along. So what are some of the costs associated with buying a home? The first cost that you're going to have is your earnest money deposit. That is a show of good faith that you want to purchase the property. So the seller will define amount of earnest money, and let's say it's $1,500. You give that at the time that you go under contract, and that stays in a bank account, and it is returned to you when you close on the property. So if you were purchasing at $150,000 and your down payment was $30,000, and your earnest money was $1,000, when you close on that property, you only have to bring $29,000 to the closing table because you've already put in that $1,000 earnest money. The next cost that you have will be your inspection fee. It's typically based on the size of the home, or the inspector that you choose will define the fees. About $250 to $500 depending on the size of the house usually. Then you have an appraisal fee. If you're financing a home, your lender will not let you close without an appraisal unless you're using some of the seller incentivized loan programs. And that appraisal fee is typically about $500. And then you have your down payment. So if you use a down payment assistance program, it's about $1,000, but it's typically about 3.5% with an FHA loan for a first-time home buyer. And again, your earnest money deposit comes off of that total. You get it back in closing. And the last thing that you have are closing costs. Your lender defines the closing costs. Most people would say that they're typically 3% of the purchase price, but they can be lower than that. That is something that can be paid by the seller. Your down payment assistance cannot be paid by the seller, but your closing costs can. So that is something that you can negotiate to have the seller paid for you. And depending on your lender, you can either finance in your closing costs or you bring that money as additional funds to the closing table. This is a snapshot of how the home buying process actually works. So the first step is that you select a real estate agent. And then the next thing that you should do if you want to be a responsible home buyer is obtain a financing pre-approval. And you want to do that because you want to have a realistic idea of what you can actually afford before you go and look at homes. Then what you'll do is sit down with your real estate agent and you'll analyze your needs in a buyer consultation. And then you'll start to select properties. There are many different places and ways that you can view properties, and we will talk about some of those shortly too. And then you'll actually get in the car with your real estate agent and drive around and look at homes. The next thing that happens is you write an offer to purchase that property. Then you negotiate the terms of your offer, and then you accept the contract.